The code that we've looked at so far runs sequentially. What does that mean? That means it runs from the first line in the main method and ends at the last line in the main method, running one line at a time. But there are some situations where we want parts of our code to run or to be skipped based on a specific condition. So let's look at a login example. If the username and the password provided by the user were correct, you never want to show an error. Or if they were incorrect, you want to show the error, but you never want them to go to the next screen. So these are situations where you want to run your code based on specific situation, and we implement this using selection. We'll continue with the code that we wrote for the previous episode, where we read user's age as input. What we'll do now is we will check if the user's age is 17 years or more. If that's the case, then we let them know that they're eligible for a learner's license. Now, how do we do that? We do that using if statements. You would write the word if, and then you would put an opening and a closing round bracket, which will have the condition, which is either true or false. And then you put the curly brackets, a starting curly bracket and an ending curly bracket, to signify that this is the code that you will run if the condition given here is true. So in our case, we want the user age to be greater than or equal to 17. Now this is an operator in Java and in most languages. What it does is it checks the left side and the right side to check the values according to this operator. So if the value here was greater than or equal to 17, the whole thing would give you true. If not, for example, if there was 15 here, then the whole condition will become false. So it either gives you true or false. These operators, they give you true or false as a result. Now, whatever you write here, if it becomes true, then whatever is written between the curly brackets will get executed. So I can just write here. So if I run this now and I provide the age, let's say 17, it tells me I'm eligible for the learner's license. If I provided an age 20, again, I'm eligible for learner's license because the age should be greater than or equal to 17. If I run this again with, let's say 15 this time, nothing happens because this part was skipped since this condition was false. What if I want to execute something if this condition was false? Only if this condition was false. For that, we have something called else, and I can write, if I run this now, and if I provided the age 15, it will tell me not eligible for learner's license. But if I provided an age 18, it will tell me eligible for learner's license. So if this condition is true, run this, skip all of this. But if this condition is false, skip all of this and then run this. It's this or that. Now, this is one of the operators, right? There are many other operators. I can put a list here, but you use them based on your need, wherever it's needed. So here I'm using greater than or equal to, but if, let's say, I want to restrict a range. So for example, let's say there's a rule where people between the age of 17 and 21 can only apply for the learner's license. So how do you restrict that range? So you need to have one for the lower end. So let's say people who are 17 years old. And on the other side, you have another condition, which is user age is always less than or equal to 21. Okay. So you have one for the upper side, which is 21, and one for the lower side, which is 17. How do you join them? If it's a range, you always join them using AND. Now, AND is an operator that is used to join two conditions. So one condition is this and one condition is this. So you're joining two conditions using the AND operator. The AND operator says that if this condition is true, and if this condition is true, only then the whole condition becomes true. If one of them is false, then then the whole condition becomes false. I can show it to you here. If I run it and if I provided 17, it shows eligible. It is eligible. If I provided 21, it is eligible. Now, if I provided, let's say 20, which is between the two numbers, again, I'm eligible. But the moment I provided a number greater than 21, it becomes not eligible, or a number less than 17, it becomes not eligible. So this works only when both of the conditions are true. You can also have something called OR to join the conditions, but this, what it does is either one of the conditions should be true for the whole condition to become true. So if I run this now and if I provided 22, it will still print eligible for me because 22 is greater than 17. It didn't care about this condition because it found that, okay, one condition is true, so I can just run the whole statement. So these are some kind of things that you need to remember. You can remember it this way. If it's a range, then you always have the AND operator. Or if you were doing or if we go by the login example where the username and password have to be correct, that would also use the AND operator to join them, because you want both of them to be correct. Even if one of them is wrong, you want the system to show an error. So that is a simple if statement. Now, there has to be a part 2 of this, because if statements can get bigger. For example, you can have many conditions in an if statement, and you can have many else conditions as well. We look at that in the next episode, but for now, as a starter, I think this is good enough for you to understand. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment. And yeah, that's it for this video. See you in the next one.